Thank you for joining me today on the Garbage Bag Girl podcast. This podcast is about all of us. It's about the things and the ways that make us feel pushed down and small. It is about how the smallest acts of kindness make the biggest impact each day. No one should feel like garbage, ever. Enjoy the show. Hi, I'm Celeste Edmunds, Executive Director of the Christmas Box International and author of Garbage Bag Girl. This is my story. If you haven't had a chance to read it, it is on Amazon. It's my story of being raised in the child welfare system and the things that happened to me, mostly between the ages of 7 and 9. And really, the book has proven to be a really good resource for our organization to help people understand the children that they're donating to, because they are in state custody, they are confidential, and it really gleans some insight into their life. But I wanted to take a cool opportunity this week. We call it our Christmas Box House Giving Week, to celebrate and thank and get excited about the people that really make it all happen. People always say thank you to us as an organization and to my team. And the reality is our jobs are just to facilitate what our community wants to happen. And so today I have two very special guests that are with the United Steelworkers, Craig Ray, local vice president, and Casey Wardell, local president of the organization. And I've asked them to come today. We're going to talk a little bit about what they've done and how they've gotten involved. But first, I think it'd be really great for people to understand what the United Steelworkers are in general.
Well, the United Steelworkers is a labor organization, so like a labor union. Labor unions are really great for giving workers democracy in their workplace and having more power and say of what happens to them in their jobs. The basic idea is collectively, everyone banding together to ask for more is a lot more effective than an individual person asking for more.
Power numbers.
Yeah,
Sure.
It's you get a more return on your labor, basically, right? You can more fruitfully enjoy, the wealth that you help create as a worker.
So they're members.
Yes.
Right? And they pay, I assume, a due or to be a member. How many do you have in the organization?
Combined with both of our locals combined, we're probably around, I'd say, the 500 range.
I think we're just under 500.
Is that considered large, small, average?
We're an amalgamated local, so we have two separate companies that we have contracts with. Each one is like 200, 250, somewhere in that range, members. And that can fluctuate because Utah is a right-to-work state, so people can join and choose not to be part of it. But overwhelmingly, people see the value of being in a union, and our membership is pretty dense.
One of the things I want people to understand is that child abuse is across the spectrum. There's no socioeconomic, there's no specific level of income or poverty or where you live or where you don't live that really affects child abuse. It really does affect everybody. When we first opened 27 years ago, we had a lot of misconceptions, and I'd have people ask me, do you get more kids come in from the east side or the west side? And they were trying to demographically figure out what that looked like. And the reality is it just doesn't have barriers that way. And that really started working into also who our donors would be. Where do they work? Where do they live? And for the most part, I mean, we're fortunate we receive grant money from private foundations that we apply for, and we have corporations that step up and give. But our individual donor base is really mostly our neighbors. They're like the people down the street. They're the neighborhoods. They're folks like you guys. And so I wanted to create an opportunity to talk to all the faces of our donors. And I remember when you guys came and took a tour last year of the Ogden Christmas Box House, because that's the area really you come from. So thanks for driving in, by the way.
Yeah, you betcha.
And tell us about touring the Ogden Christmas Box House. I remember that was quite an experience. And
Yeah, you want me to open on this one? So the first time that I was able to go through with Kristen Jensen, and I'm an Ogden boy, born and raised myself, so I always knew that was there. But you always drive by it, and it's in the community, but our first tour going through there, and it was kind of it hit home hard. And being oil worker guys as we are, we think we're rough and tough,
Sure.
roughnecks out in the oil fields and stuff like that. There were some times in there, especially when believe it's called the Nook, and they talked about where the child gets to go in there and pick a stuffed animal and choose a book out of that area. Then they talked about a little boy that went through the system, and when he graduated high school, he held up that little stuffed animal. I'm over there going, someone cutting onions in
Ricky
this
the
room?
raccoon. That's the
Yeah.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. And I think when we went through that, we automatically fell even more in love with what you guys do for the children and how we got to see how the place works with the cook, with the clothing. It was amazing.
So ultimately, was it that tour that made you guys decide to choose? How did you choose the Christmas box?
Initially, it was one of our members suggested it. We were trying to figure out who we wanted to give the money that our Christmas raffle was generating. And we were doing, different groups. We did Primary Children's Hospital. We did Toys for Tots.
And that's from an annual Christmas party, right?
Annual
that
Christmas
you do?
party, yeah.
Okay.
And so someone suggested, hey, maybe we should try, something else. And the Christmas Box House was suggested, and we were like, yeah, we're happy to do what our membership is asking us to do. And I wasn't able to go to that first tour, but hearing Craig's reaction and talking about it, I was like, all right, this sounds like a really good thing. And then the following year, I was lucky enough to have a tour, and it definitely, it's obviously necessary, and you guys do great work. So doing a third year was a pretty easy option.
And now 3 years later, we were talking before this that you guys have raised almost $70,000.
Yeah.
There's a room, it's the visiting room at the Ogden Christmas Box House that has a cool sign with your logo on it. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to circle back and see that.
We have not yet, and it's a funny story. You bring this up. We were supposed to get a plaque, that we wanted to pick one out. And sometimes when you're spearheading a lot of individuals, groups, if you will, it's like herding cats to try to get a decision made. So
we're like, it'd be fun if everybody could come see it. Yeah,
it's
maybe
not going to happen. So we were supposed to initially get that plaque.
Yeah, that's right.
To you guys by October on your open house. Yeah, now we're in December. We're still discussing this. I think we have one picked out. We just need to get it done, and then.
Well, don't worry. For that 20th anniversary open house, we made sure your sign was up. Awesome. So when people took a tour,
yeah.
So that part's done.
So they knew that.
Yeah. Well, we wanted, again, I like people to know. Really, it's the concept that it's the house that love build. It takes a village to raise children, because being 27 years strong and having served over 145,000 children now, which is a lot to get your head around, we realize that kids that come back, so we call them now our Christmas Box alum, they come back, and when I ask them if it surprises them that the people that gave them everything they had when they were there as littles were by complete strangers, people they never met, people they never knew, and every one of them has the same, oh my gosh, response, like, I just never would have thought that anybody cared. And so, it's part of the reason I came up with the title Garbage Bag Girls, because I moved every 6 months with my stuff in a garbage sack. And it's more than that. It's also every time you go somewhere, you're asking people to borrow things that you can wear, and then you're returning them. So not only has no child left the Christmas box with their stuff in a garbage sack in 27 years, but they've received only new items. And it's part of the biggest thing we get to do with gifts like yours is go out and buy things that we otherwise are not going to get donated. I know you just had your party Friday, because Kristen texted me, because I think you texted her.
I did on Saturday, yes.
And what was the news?
So the news was, and we were so ecstatic, because it's always something so awesome to come up with a substantial amount of money each year. And we was able to raise $23,045
wow.
on Friday.
That's just awesome. I mean, any money's awesome, but that is so much money in one night. And remind me how you pull that, or tell us how you guys pull that together.
Well, we've been doing a Christmas raffle. We would go buy a bunch of prizes and a bunch of things that people would like to win, and we sell raffle tickets. And it's a big push, because
in Utah we call them opportunity drawings. Wink, wink.
Yeah,
no, we don't raffle in this state.
For sure. So we just tried to, push the idea of like, hey, if this, you might have an opportunity to win something cool, but worst case scenario, you're helping a good cause.
Right, which is a pretty good worst case scenario.
Yeah,
Right,
it's
right.
pretty good.
What made you guys want to tie giving at all to your Christmas party? I mean, really, you could just give it all back out to your people, and they might say we need it too.
The union and unions in general. I'll talk about ours in particular. We're a community-based organization. We're members of the community. We come from a vast, wide array of different backgrounds and political ideological backgrounds as well. And giving back and being part of the community in a positive way is a core belief of our local. And so
awesome.
Having the ability to raise a significant amount of money as a charitable event falls within our ethos. It makes sense for us to be part of it.
Our kids that stay with us are only there 2 weeks to a month, and they're in state custody, so they're very confidential, as I mentioned. And so it's really interesting because not only do they not always get to meet the people that give to them, but the people that give, it's not like a sub for Santa where you walk up and give it to the family and then there's maybe an immediate gratification with that. For us, they're very silent kids that often also feel like they don't have a voice ever. They're getting told where they're going next and what's happening to them, and they really feel like they have, no voice. And so it really, really does matter. I guess I just want to make sure you guys know how much it really, really matters what you do.
And I do love it now how sometimes we talked before, even with Kristen, that a lot of your donations seems like they come right around Christmas time.
Yes.
Unfortunately. So now you guys you got radio commercials out now, and I think that falls back onto just educating the community.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with our union. And some people have a stigma on what unions do, and they're greedy,
right.
et cetera, et cetera. But if they were educated on what we do and stand for our people, we're just the voice for our body. But education. And if you guys was to educate the community too, that, hey, we do need donations year-round, not just
That's
around
right.
Christmas. So it's amazing now to hear those broadcasting over the radio.
Yep.
So we're like, hey,
I know them.
We love those guys. So
That's right.
That's huge. Education for the communities on both sides is big.
From a union standpoint, like, I don't think we do as much as we could about talking about how good being in a union is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who come to start working at the refinery and they have like a weird taste in their mouth about what unions do because they've only heard negative things. And then when they actually start working with the union, they're like, oh man, I would never work here without a union.
The Christmas Box International really does believe in that concept that these kids get to know someone has their back. They get to know there's the team, there's the unions, there's the, like I said, their neighbors, the people they never know, and they really are helping them and empowering them to have the voices they don't have. And so I just can't, I could go on for days about that because I just can't thank you enough for what you do and how much you guys have supported us the last 3 years. It's truly, truly remarkable. Thank you for joining me today on the Garbage Bag Girl podcast. Always remember, you matter. Please subscribe and share this podcast and visit CelesteEdmunds.com to join my mailing list.